Well, it's the summer months, and I don't know about you, but storms come through and we often lose power. So I thought I'd put together some tips that might make it a little easier for you when you lose power. Stay tuned. I strongly advise that you make a lights out kit if you don't already have one. There's some excellent videos on YouTube about it, and you can also check out my video on making a lights out kit at this link. So here's some important information on what to do when you lose power to your refrigerator and or freezer. So what about your refrigerator and freezer when your power goes out? Well, as long as you don't open your refrigerator door, it should be fine for 4 hours. Your freezer, if it's well insulated, should be fine for 2 days if you don't open it. Now, after 4 hours in the refrigerator, I keep a little list up here in my pantry, and it tells me actually what should be thrown away if it's longer than 4 hours or gets to a certain temperature. And then it also tells me about my freezer foods. And I'll leave a link here in case you're interested in also making a little handy guide. But what I do after 4 hours is take out the things that absolutely, like lunch meat, things like that, that need to be kept cold, and we put them in a cooler, and we always keep bagged ice or other ice in our freezer because my husband likes to go fishing, so he likes to have bagged ice available. But we can use that, put it in the cooler, and keep things cold for some time. And of course, if we're able to leave the house, we can always replace the ice and keep things cold. And with the freezer, however, after 2 days, you either have to take everything out and go to a friend's house that has power, or come up with a way to generate power. And that could be, in this case, we have a window here. We can do a portable generator through the window and actually hook it up to the refrigerator or the freezer and keep the food inside cold or frozen. Another great idea for keeping your beverages cold, if you're camping, or in my case, if you live on a creek, is to use the creek as your refrigerator. Here we have some beverage necessities. Oh yeah, it's cold. Oh, that tastes good. And believe me, these are cold. Just perfect for a nice little afternoon beverage. When the lights go out, especially at night, you want to have some alternatives for lighting. So of course, you can always turn to candles. These are only $1 at the Dollar Tree, and they provide a lot of light, and they come in a very sturdy glass container. This is also from the Dollar Tree. It's a little solar light, and so it charges from sunlight or house light, and it's great to leave next to a child's bed or maybe in the bathroom. And this is more of a lantern, and that's good if you have to traverse around the house to find something, as well as this little lantern. And this one actually will come apart, and each member of your family could have one, which is fantastic for camping. And of course, you want to have plenty of batteries. And for lighting, of course you want flashlights. I always keep this one right next to my bed. It's a Monster flashlight, I think it was called. And I love it. It's rechargeable, and it really, really is bright. I use it at night in the winter when I have to go out and do the chickens and it's dark out. This works out just great. But I always keep it next to my bed, just in case. And of course, you might also want a headlamp. These can come in handy, especially if you are having to do something, you need your hands free when you have power loss. Ooh, the sun just came out. Anyway, communication, also very important. If the power outage is weather related, you'll especially want to keep track of what's going on with the weather. So having a portable little radio is a good idea. We have several of those. Some are battery driven, some are solar driven, or the hand crank. And this one just happens to get AM/FM stereo and shortwave, the world band. So I highly recommend that you keep some kind of radio for communication purposes. I think cell phones are an important method of communication nowadays. And if you lose power, you can't charge your phone in the usual way by plugging into the outlet. So you might want to consider having a solar charger so you're still able to communicate with loved ones. This is something I bought recently, which I really like, which is a RAV, I guess, power bank. But when it's fully charged, it can charge my phone, which is a Nexus 6P, 6 times. And it can also charge my little tablet. So this is great. And this is just a little bit on hygiene. If your water isn't running, how do you take a shower? How do you take care of yourself? So what about personal hygiene? You can brush your teeth, and if you have an electric toothbrush manually, that is not a problem. But what about taking a shower or a bath? I have this camp shower, just in case, and you fill it up with water and you hang it in the sun and hope it gets warm enough so you can hang it up and take a shower at the end of the day. And that's a nice thing to have. I have it, like I said, in my just in case preps. But we can boil water on the stove with a gas stove, and we do have a method of having water come into the house even when our well is not working. I've got a video on that if you're interested. So we could actually lug water and take a shallow bath in the bathtub if we needed to. But Boss of the Swamp had a good video on making a do-it-yourself kind of camp shower, and I thought I'd leave you the link here because I think it might be useful for some of you. Again, for your just-in-case preps. And then for the women, how do you do your hair? I use electric curlers still. Most women use blow dryers and electric curling irons and straighteners and everything else. And you aren't going to have those available, so you have to have something else to fall back on. And it might be a bandana over your hair. If you have longer hair, you might be able just to pull it back and put it in a ponytail and you are fine. Or you might have to go to the old-fashioned route of sleeping on curlers. Yes, when I was in grade school, that's how we did it. Well, that's it for hygiene. Well, how do you keep cool when you lose power? I mean, your air conditioning doesn't work, your fans don't work. What do you do? Something else you might want to consider is one of these mister fans. You just pour water in them and they have a little battery to do the fan. And by just misting your face or using the fan, it really can help cool you off on a hot day. I am definitely not an expert on what to do for high temperatures because luckily I live in Michigan and usually we don't have high temperatures. But to us, 90-some degrees feels very, very hot because we're not used to it. So I grew up with no air conditioning, and it has really been only in the past 2 years that we got air conditioning in our house. And yes, it can be nice, but you can really live without it here. Our basement stays pretty cool, and I know in a lot of very hot states they don't have basements, and that is a problem for being cool. It also usually cools down at night, which helps a lot. When I was young, we'd always wash our hair right before we'd go to bed, and because it was wet, it kept us cooler all night long. Now I understand some people in very hot temperatures actually wet their sheets and go between wet sheets before they go to bed. Never had to do that, but I guess that would work. And I understand in desert areas, people actually wet sheets and put them in the doorways. And Any breeze that comes through then cools off the interior, but that would not work here in Michigan because we have a lot of humidity, and that method does not work in a high humidity area. So, I am not an expert, but I would love to hear from you what you do to stay cool when the temperatures get really hot. To me, most people have a sink or a bathtub, and just sticking your feet in cold water makes a heck of a difference. And believe me, let me show you what we do when we get hot here at the house. Well, and you can always go in any body of water near your house that's shallow enough. In our case, this is the creek. And let me tell you right now, it is freezing. I would cool off instantly when I'm in here. I mean, it is really, really cold. Very cold. I'm starting to not feel my toes. When we had my son's wedding here and it got 100 degrees, actually over 100 degrees, and sunny and humid, believe me, many people went here in the creek and it worked out great. And we also had a little wading pool so people could put their feet in that, and that really cools you off fast. Here's some cleaning tips. I like to have my counters clean, and if water's at a premium, I use these. Yep, they're baby wipes, and you get 90 of them for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And you really, I mean, that's pretty inexpensive, and they do a good job. So just a little tip. Baby wipes aren't just for babies. Okay, and how will you clean your floors? Now, I'm lucky. My entire house is either granite tiles, wood flooring, or ceramic tiles. I only have a couple of throw rugs. So I don't have to worry. Vacuuming isn't as hard for me. I can use the old-fashioned brush or my little Swifter, and that will do a pretty good job on the floor. But if you've got carpeting through your house, what will you do if you have an extended power outage? You may want to look into something like this Bissell sweeper. When you lose power and you lose the ability to get water out of your tap, it is definitely more of a hassle to wash dishes. So you might want to keep on hand some disposable plates, like these beautiful green and white ones. Never buy the maize and blue ones, those are bad. And some cups that are disposable, and of course your plasticware. That way when you get done, you just throw it in the trash and you don't have to worry about it. And what about security? And security is up to you. If you depend on electric-driven security system, then it may fail when you lose your power. So you might want to have some other methods. These are just window alerts. They're only $1 at the Dollar Tree, and they can be used for your windows, doors, or outside on a perimeter. And I'll leave a little link here to something that the GQ prepper did that I thought was pretty clever. And of course, if you use firearms for protection, you will want to have those handy. And it's never a bad idea to have a good guard dog. I don't know about you, but I really turn to the internet for a lot of my entertainment. It might be watching YouTube videos, Netflix, researching a subject, whatever. But when you lose power, you lose the internet. So here are some alternative ideas to entertain yourself and your family. Just having a lot of board games, and in this case here's Monopoly, but we have a lot more. Make sure you have games that are age appropriate for your family. Of course, you can always play card games. This doesn't take up any space at all, and there's a lot of different games to play. And you can just make up games like I Spy outside, or maybe tell campfire stories. There's a lot of things you can do without actually turning on a TV or being on the internet. And of course, you can always read a book. This one is an excellent choice. It's Cache Lake Country, and it's by John J. Rowlands. And it's just about, I guess, a simpler time and living definitely without power, so I really recommend it. But you can always read. Well, these are just some of my tips on what we've done when we lose power. I would love to hear what you do because we all learn from each other, so please comment below if you have any great tips, or if something didn't work for you, comment below also. And I hope you are all getting ready to take part in the July-August Prepper Challenge. I'm waiting to get more videos. This is Prepper Potpourri saying, please subscribe and share the knowledge, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up if you like this video.